Hi there, and welcome to the New York School of Design's Intro to Digital Design. My name is Vidal Cyperly Valencia, and I'm a fashion designer here in New York City. And so, for today, as I've said, we will be in Illustrator again, and we're going to start with talking about profiles and variable widths. So, in general, working in Illustrator is all about optimizing. You want to use the tools within Illustrator to really perform in ways that make your life easier. And so when we take any path in Illustrator, and if I just draw a line here, you can see that it starts out up here in this menu. We know where our stroke is, we know this is our fill, we know this is the stroke color, we know our stroke width is here, if I make it something like 6. And then we see this here and this here. Now, these two areas is where we're going to be focusing some on today. And this one here is the variable width profile, and this is the brush definition. So, as you can see, with this selected path here, it is even all the way across. It's practically a rectangle, we know its path, but it has a very blunt end, and it has a very blunt start. And so you can see that this is the uniform setting. Now, here's our menu. If I just click this drop down here, you'll see that all of these options show up here. And so what these are describing is width profile for your stroke. And so this is saying if you apply this one, it's going to start at a finer end and then get thicker and then re-taper back towards a fine point. Additionally, with some of these other ones, you'll see this one's much more freeform. It kind of undulates in a certain way. There are others that start and end more abruptly in terms of there's like a direct point and it's a little bit sharper than, say, the first one that we looked at, which was this. So you can see this one has a more gradual shift into the normal width of 6 points, whereas this one goes much faster into the regular uniform width and then back down into it. And so this is really useful because basically when we're drawing certain shapes in Illustrator, and this is especially when you get to more advanced work in Illustrator, or really just like dressing up your technical sketches or your flats or your sketches or your etc., you want to be using things like profiles and variable widths because it makes it look more like a sketch. And so if you remember from our previous episode, I talked about drawing the little S for the front of like the crotch indication on pants in the front. And that can look fine with a uniform setting, but it doesn't look so much like a sketch, and it doesn't look like it has the hand to it or that it has any sort of like human involvement. And so you want to then apply something like this one here, which gives it a little bit more life and a little bit more design to it. And all of these profiles can also be applied to shapes. And so you'll see that if I apply this one here and if I make the stroke thicker, you'll see that it's made certain parts of this thicker, it's made certain parts of it thinner. If I were to pick a different profile, it would, like this curved one here, it would do something like this. And so this can be a way for you to add some creativity to your sketches. And so you can use this to indicate drag lines, you can use this to show indications like this for the crotch, or you can put something like this around the armpit, you name it. So it's all about applying the tools of Illustrator to expand your creativity in Illustrator. Alongside the variable width is we have brushes. And so brushes can be applied in pretty much all the same places where you would have a stroke. So I have my pen tool that I've just made this line. I'm going to make this a thicker line, and I'm going to leave it uniform for now. But if I click this menu here, this is brush definition. And if I just expand this a little bit, you'll see there's a bunch of options. These are all just ones I've used recently. However, you'll see there should be some preset options in here, or you can click this little library menu and you can pick anything from here. So if I want something that's artistic and I want it to look like a paintbrush, this is going to open up this window separately called Artistic Paintbrush. And if I select my same path and I apply it, it's going to apply this brush. And so all these three options are different brushes, or these three additional options are different brushes that you can utilize in Illustrator. You can use this sort of charcoaly looking brush. You can use arrows. You can use this watercolor brush. And this can be used for creating artwork, like when we created patterns in our previous video. If you wanted to make something that had like a water stroke effect to it, or a watercolor stroke effect to it, you could apply the watercolor stroke to it. Arrows are super useful for indicating callouts or pointing to certain parts of the sketch or your flat sketch in a tech pack. And these other artistic ones can be great, again, for creating prints or patterns, or really just adding some decoration to parts of your presentation, you name it. You could theoretically do your sketches in some of these, but I would not totally recommend that until you're more advanced and you're really utilizing that to like enhance the design aesthetic of your flats, as in general, you want your technical flats to be fairly readable, legible, and they need to look clear for technical purposes. So you can apply this for like a creative sense if you want to do something decorative, if you want to start illustrating within Illustrator, it's all up to you. Now, we have custom brushes too. So we can make all of our own brushes for sort of whatever purpose we need. And this is really, really, really useful. I cannot underscore how useful this is, because for so many elements of sketching garments, there are things that you do not want to have to redraw by hand all the time. You don't want to have to draw shirring, zipper teeth, cable layouts, ruffles, you name it. Anything that can be kind of tedious by hand can be turned functionally into a brush. And so I have some examples here, like this is a cable for like a cable knit sweater. I have this one here, which is just a double needle top stitch, which I've created. I have zipper teeth, which I will be showing you how to make. You would additionally want to have just the individual zipper teeth. If you had something like zipped part way down, you would want to have one side with just one side of the teeth and the other with the other. You have shirring, you have ruffles. Being able to use brushes for these things will make your life so much easier and will bring a lot more life and depth and visual like excitement to your sketches. Now, we can also combine these two principles. We can combine variable widths and we can combine brushes or custom brushes. And that can be useful, again, for applying them to your sketch or for just sort of functional purposes. You can change the variable width like so. And, you know, if you have something where you have your ruffle maybe taper down to the front of your placket, you being able to use this variable width here would make that illustration a lot easier instead of you having to freehand redraw your ruffle over and over again.